Daniel Ruiz Tyson, The Writer's Life. Something that's long fascinated me is the struggle big television shows often go through to overcome the departure of their star, and the way that the ensemble left behind have to work and come together and have their storylines maybe beefed up so that the show can get through what is often a tricky period. And I'm fascinated by the way the departed star's successor has to try and help the show through that loss. I've never been more fascinated by that than when David Caruso quit NYPD Blue, his acrimonious departure in the summer of '94, when he was the world's biggest television star, which, fair enough, if you've seen him in CSI Miami, you'll think, how the hell was that? But he really was. I don't think I've ever seen a finer individual performance from any actor in a TV drama. He was only in NYPD Blue for a year. It was kind of an ensemble show, but as much as people talked about Dennis Franz, his co-star, maybe Dennis Franz. I've always said Dennis Franz. I don't know why I just said Franz. Franz got a lot of the um, critical acclaim in that series, which I kind of he was good, but I just thought it was Caruso's show, and he made his acrimonious departure over here in the UK. That episode was shown around February or March '95. Famously, or rather infamously, his final scene, he's exiting the precinct, he's going down the stairs, and his character, pretty much just walks off into the sunset after he's forced to resign, or pushed into resigning, actually. He's given the choice, I think, of continuing as a traffic cop, but he'd rather quit. Famously offset the rest of the cast, even though they found him very difficult to work with. They'd organised a leaving do for him, and Caruso just walked straight off the set. They never saw him again. I think it was about another 10, 12 years before Franz saw him for some photo shoot in which all the big stars of NYPD Blues 12 years came together for some big profile piece. And I thought, wow, that is the way to make an exit. And it was an exit I emulated many times in, obviously in a more low-key fashion. But it was something that I drew inspiration from. But although Jimmy Smits, who came in and replaced Caruso, was and remains a much better actor, it's kind of strange because David Caruso, his performance was just so extraordinary. And that show was so seminal. It was the kid cop of the '90s. And Jimmy Smits, I'm a massive fan of that guy. I just think he is a brilliant actor. He's a better actor than Caruso, but he was not better than Caruso was in NYPD Blue. And I'm trying to think of other shows that have had similar issues. My favourite all-time British TV drama has to be Brideshead Revisited, the original, with Jeremy Irons, Laurence Olivier, Anthony Andrews. And it's interesting because the show originally, the scripts were a bit of a mess, and then there was the ITV, I think it was the writers' strike around 79, 80. So they just went back to the drawing board and they turned the episodes into 2-hour episodes, and it's a magnificent piece of work. I saw the repeats on Channel 4 around 98 and I was blown away. And again, and you've had plenty of time to watch it, so this might be a spoiler, but you've had 30, 35 years to watch this show. Lord Sebastian Flight, played by Anthony Andrews, he disappears about two-thirds of the way in the series, and I just thought, surely he's going to come back. It's your biggest character. Surely he's going to come back. I think he's back for a brief moment in one of the final episodes, but it's just such a courageous decision. And the interesting thing for me is that I've seen it in my own work. Preceding these exits, or coinciding with the Brideshead Revisited era. I think that was 1980. Obviously, Kid Cop, the seminal US cop show that ran from 1980 to 1992, co-starring myself and Victoria Principal. She was my original co-star before she was replaced by Sam Fox in '86. If you remember, in One Writer's Life last week, I mentioned that in late '88 I disappeared from the show for about 9 or 10 months to pursue a film career, and so Kid Cop had to overcome that loss, and it became more of an ensemble piece. When I came back, while I still had top billing, it was certainly, the show had changed, and I had to accept I was now part of an ensemble. Going way back to my earliest years, there was a thing, let me just see, I think I noted it here, and I can't, I think I noted it. The show was called Joey. It was a show I used to play with buttons. And my mum was a very gifted seamstress, and she had a sewing box, and I was fascinated by it. And there were loads of little loose buttons in there, and I think a couple of big buttons from my dad's robe that she'd never got round to sewing back on. And I remember one of those big buttons. There's the tremor again. Can you see it? What is that? Is that maybe this is the Parkinson's making itself felt for the first time? Maybe this is where it started. Maybe, when I go to see the doctors and he said, when did you first notice this? Or so, but I was making some videos for 63 subscribers on my YouTube channel. Started to see my hand was shaking as I held the phone. Maybe I'm not holding this properly. Let me see if I can steady my hand. Where was I? One of the big buttons from my dad's robe, I called it Kroll. I think there is a film called Kroll, so maybe I got it from there, although I've never seen the film called Kroll. Big purple button. Kroll was the villain in this series, which was called Joey. Joey he was a really little button, and to distinguish him from all the other white little buttons I had, I put a red sticker on him. I remember that, like a little flash of red across to identify him. I remember he had a very close button friend. What's going on with this tremor? I think it's the way I'm holding it. I don't think I need to be alarmed. I can't remember his friend's name, but the button was bigger. And I remember for some reason, and again, it goes to, I like testing with my own work. I like taking out the big character and seeing how the other characters survive. There we go. Got the tremor. Police siren, it's all going off here. I'll take the opportunity to see if I can, there we go, steady the camera. If anybody is still watching this was meant to be a short video. So I took Joey out. I'm not sure I ever brought him back in. I think I moved on to doing another show. It might have been around the time that I launched Kid Cop. So I was about 7 or 8 years old when I was, the showrunner for Joey. I took the button out, and I just wanted to see how the rest of the cast would cope without the lead button. And it's just something that's fascinated me, and I think that fascination with seeing how a cast or a group of people, or how individuals can overcome a loss, extends to bereavement. That's the hardest thing anyone can face, how to overcome the loss of a loved one. And, some of us really get into television shows, and to lose your favourite actor from your favourite show, it can feel like a bit of a bereavement. But equally, it is interesting to see how that show comes together, if it indeed can survive the loss of that character. Kid Cop just about managed it. NYPD Blue, I don't think it did. I don't think it got over Caruso's loss, even though it ran for another 11 years. I maintain it did not overcome Caruso's loss. Joey, I can't remember. Brideshead Revisited, brilliant piece of work. Just watch it. Subscribe if you've enjoyed this. If you think the tremor might be something serious, get in touch. Enjoy your day, enjoy your night, and I'm sure that I will catch you tomorrow, tremor free, hopefully. Take care.